So on the site stereo, we have a Bluetooth speaker on site,
Oh,
and more workers are requesting like union music, and
Dropkick Murphys. Which side are you?
I
Can I make you a list? I
I
got a
can't
bunch of songs.
I can't tell you how much that fills my heart with joy
That is awesome.
when I have workers coming to work with a smile saying like, "Hey man, Union Maid was in my head all weekend, and I need to hear it again."
I've read Marx. I've read Engels. I've read Das Kapital.
The world is run by Trotskyists.
Hardcore Trotskyites.
How great an anti-American Marxist.
They're controlled by Trotskyists, as you put it, and these are the most evil, sick human beings on the face of the planet.
All of this stuff that is going on with the labor movement. Where you are at, so we have like in the United States we have like 5 postal unions, which makes no fucking sense, and that's a story for another time. But the main two really are the American Postal Workers Union and the NALC. I should probably say this for the show, but the APW is better. They had a bunch of do nothings running the show, much like we have a bunch of do nothings in ours, and they voted them out maybe 10 years ago, and they send a letter of solidarity and they talk about the Canadian Postal Workers strike. If you go on my union's page now, there is not a single mention that the Canadian Postal Workers are on strike. Like, they are terrified of upsetting management, and oh my god, it's inspiring, really, to see this. It's getting some buzz here. Sadly, we're not very internationalist viewed out here, but I did check the website for the CUPW, and they have a statement on Gaza, which is great. It's nice to see that. Mine won't do shit.
Posties unite. You're listening to the Left Opposition Podcast with Chris, Joe, and Matt, and myself, Aaron. Welcome in, everybody. We've got a sick episode for you tonight. I managed to visit the picket line twice this week, and I'll be telling you about that. And we're going to talk about the NALC campaign to vote no.
All right.
Then we will be talking about this new Joe will be talking about the quote unquote anti-Semitism law that was recently passed. And finally, by popular demand, we will be talking about the American air quote Communist Party. I'd say they made a faux pas. We were ready to make fun of them, and then they corrected themselves. And I'll give credit. Now we're still going to make fun of them. We're not stopping that. That is always going to be a part of it. But to give credit when credit's due, they did a bit of a correction, but no spoilers, folks. So all right, and we could talk on. There's a couple more things we probably could talk about, but that'll be long enough. So Aaron, let's kick it back. Oh yeah, also Doug is out today, so it'll just be the 4 of us. So all right, Aaron, you did something great.
Saturday night, I visited the CUPW picket line, the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. They are on strike. The local district labor council made a call out for all unions to come out for 8 p.m. Saturday night. They were doing karaoke and we sang union songs. We got lots of honks, and it was a good time. They had burn barrels out and everything. This was a real fucking worker strike. And
oh my god, the burn barrels! Holy shit, yeah.
So for a little bit of context, on October 28th, Canada Postal Workers voted 95% in favor of striking after management was fighting for clawbacks for years. Damn. And the negotiations have been ruthless up to this point. So comes to us from an article from the RCP, Revolutionary Communist Party in Canada. So we are seeing a sweeping attack on wages and working conditions. Canada Post wants to restructure to compete with Amazon, and we know what companies mean when they say restructuring. Right? They want to pay Amazon wages and they want to have those Amazon working conditions, and we know how that goes, right? What have we seen at Amazon over the last few years that have been made public by the union drive at Amazon? We see coworkers dying of heart attacks on the shop floor, and other coworkers stepping over them because they don't want to stop and help out their comrade.
Piss bottles, yeah.
There's piss bottles everywhere. There's workers getting UTIs because they're not allowed to go to the bathroom. Right. There's delivery cars being returned with grocery bags full of human feces because they're shitting in the vans because they're not allowed to stop anywhere.
Right. And they're getting more car accidents. I mean, I'm on the road in Massachusetts and I see whenever I said we don't get in car accidents happen, but they're always Amazon. They use their independent contractor, Amazon people. Amazon Flex operate out of their own car, which if they get into a car accident, you're on the hook. You trust me, your car insurance is not going to cover that. And I can tell you horror stories after horror stories of people getting screwed over by the world's richest man. Well, one of the richest man. So yeah, holy shit.
Yeah. So no, thank you. Obviously, nobody wants that. We don't want that shit. So Canada Post is offering a 10% wage increase over 4 years. This barely covers current inflation. It doesn't cover past inflation. So wages have still not kept up with the cost of living. Speaking of which, management is trying to remove the cost of living allowance, or known as COLA. I believe you guys also call that too. That was a lump sum given to workers in periods of high inflation. And as always, the company wants to gut pension and benefits, reduce vacation time, and take away Christmas vacation for some workers. So a lot of them are calling it Diet Cola, which I thought was a fantastic.
That's what we call it that too. Wow, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Also, folks, I'm a letter carrier too, so that's why I'm okay. Yep. All right. Huh.
Not only that, in a recent statement made by CUPW, explained Canada Post wants to completely overhaul letter carrier work. The CPC wants to be able to schedule carriers 5 days on a 7-day calendar, schedule variable work hours each day, change routes each day, and add part-time flexible positions and cut full-time relief positions.
Sorry, it's such a shit deal. Oh my God, thank God.
It's such dog shit.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing is like Canada Post workers are not paid out of taxpayer dollars. Their wages are and pensions and benefits are covered by the parcels that you bring to the post office and get delivered. It is not taxpayer dollars. Any profit that the office makes goes into the public coffers. And it is profitable. It's doing fine. It's doing great. There is tons of room to negotiate and maneuver. And talking to these workers on the line, they're like, yeah, like they want to restructure the pension. I'll get grandfathered in, but what about the people hired after me? Right. And not even the most cynical interpretation of that is, you could even be like, well, I'm fine, so screw everyone else. But if you're getting the pension and they're not, and that's a smaller pool paying into a pension for retired workers. So that makes the pension fund more volatile down the road. So it's still in your best interest to fight for workers that come after you. So here's what communists in Canada have to say. A determined struggle is needed to win this fight. So imagine my surprise when I visited the picket line on Saturday. The Hamilton District Labor Council called for a solidarity visit with other unions in tow. So I showed up representing the archaeology union.
Yeah. Solidarity.
Imagine my surprise. There are CUPW workers wearing kefias. The mood was incredible. The workers were ready for revolution. I'm not exaggerating. Maybe it was a Saturday night and the most militant workers are coming out on a Saturday night. It was my only night off because I worked 6 days last week and I was barely hanging on by a thread when I got there. But then when I got there, I got this rush, right? And this is something that we need, with the election from the past couple of weeks. Like we need a little bit of hope, a little bit of good news. And I was really, really happy to share it with these workers on the picket line. So the president of the District Labor Council sang the Internationale for his karaoke song.
Fuck? Is this
I'm
like
not
the
joking.
Red Guards? What the? I mean, are you shitting me?
It's like who are these
It's like
people?
controversial to like endorse a Democrat in my union, like for the wrong reasons. Trust me, it's not like because they're too far left; it's they're going right. But Jesus.
After working 61 hours last week, I couldn't sleep Saturday night. I was so jazzed.
Man. Nice,
When I mentioned,
nice.
I mentioned I'm here as a worker. I'm a union worker, just supporting the strike, but I'm also with Left Opposition Podcast. One worker said, "Oh, now you're speaking my language."
Oh God, I'm moving. I'm moving. I don't care. I'm moving there. Holy shit.
So yeah, I wore my union swag, unofficially representing my union as a fellow class conscious worker, and they thanked me for being there. Another worker I talked to was asking about different organizations and what else we could be doing. I suggested if there's a Marxist org near you, you should sign up and join a reading group. Get yourself educated. We had a good discussion over the problem of there being like 100 different organizations with like a few dozen members in each one claiming to be the true Bolshevik organization.
That's right.
But on the other hand, you have big tent organizations like the DSA in the United States that suckers in leftists of all stripes, forcing you to water down and limit your messaging and program to the lowest common denominator. And when I said that, the worker responds, yeah, then you become a Menshevik.
What
and I'm like,
the hell?
It's like, how the fuck do you know what a Menshevik is? So,
why? What? I need it. What is going on here? This is amazing. Wow, the level of class consciousness in this union. Holy shit.
Here's the thing is like workers will always like I was humbled when I was on this picket line, right? Like they're telling me to read, they're asking me if I've read Teamster Rebellion.
Oh God, sorry. I don't think you Matt, you know how I feel about this book. All right, the book that changed Chris's life. Okay. All right. Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
So the working class willingness to fight back is constantly underestimated by Marxists like myself, right? And it's easy to get all doomy and gloomy, but like when you're out there on the line with those workers, like they are ready to throw down. Yeah. At the same time, they are undermined in many ways by leadership, accepting sellout deals to maintain their low strike records. But there's something about this felt different. Maybe we can actually win this one because, it was a Saturday night. The true revolutionary workers are the ones who show up to the line. Who knows? All I can say is full unconditional solidarity to the striking workers.
God damn right. So also, if I could just add in too, the video on screen. So right now, my union, we're in the United States. There's 5 unions, which makes no goddamn sense. But my union, so we do it by craft. I'm the letter carrier craft. I'm the guy in the truck you see driving around everywhere. We're called the NALC, the National Association of Letter Carriers. Right now, it took us our president, his name is Brian Renfro. He sucks. And he spent 520 days and managed to get us a 1.3% raise per year. That is 3.9%. And he called this agreement historic. The people going on strike in Canada are fighting for 22 and they got 10. And our fool of a goddamn president who doesn't even want to fight for us is up there saying that this is historic. So right now in my union, I've been leading a part of a group called Build a Fighting NALC, and we've been trying to go around everywhere trying to get resolutions passed to have union locals individually endorse a no vote. We have 31 locals that have joined us to pass no resolutions, and more are coming. So I asked Aaron, hey, could you talk to them and just pass on my solidarity? And could you tell them, do you think we should vote no? And Aaron, not only did he get them to put up a sign saying that the CUPW supports NALC and vote no, they got a little chant going. So, and this is a TikTok. I pass it on to our group. It's on there everywhere. But Aaron, I hit it because this is great.
This is actually me on the line. I didn't direct any of these chants. They just started going. As soon as they heard NALC, they all got together. They all lined up immediately. They knew exactly what was going on. And this is them on the picket line for you, Chris.
CUPW Solidarity NALC.
Do we want to
NALC, 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 solidarity, solidarity, solidarity,
There is.
I never know.
There you go. Vote no.
Thank you. I know.
That's a message.
There's more fight on that fucking picket line than my useless president, Brian Renfro. Holy shit. That is good. Thank you. That made my night. I appreciate it because our union doesn't want to fight at all. Because right now it's illegal for us to strike, but we did it in 1970. Our union president, Brian Renfro, has not even sent a letter of solidarity with the CUPW. The better union, the APWU, who basically voted out the idiots like my president, Brian Renfro, back about 10 years ago, they sent letters of solidarity. Their social media says that. I believe the president, Peter Diamondstein, is going to be going up to Canada to be on the picket line with them. That's a real leader our sister union has. My coward of a president isn't doing that at all. Not anything. So it's nice to see there's a fighting union you guys have there because our union doesn't want to fight. And that's great. God damn. Way to go, CUPW. More.
Much appreciated. No, there's more to say on this. We're only just getting started here. So Major
All right.
escalation going forward now that workers are on strike is the potential for the government to enact back to work legislation. And so, among other undemocratic strike breaking measures, if this happens, they will absolutely come down on the side of Canada Post and not the workers. So in 2018, that's exactly what Trudeau did. The burn barrels on the picket line, they still have dents in them from when there was a truck that tried to ram the line. In 2018, there's you can actually see it in the asphalt. There's still a melted circle from the burn barrel in the asphalt from 2018. So the federal government has time and again sided with employers. They recently forced British Columbia port workers into binding arbitration, and they ended job action by, get this, railway workers in August. So, and let's not forget.
Well, these are liberals. Liberals are on our side, I've been told, right? Oh,
wait,
shit.
I thought,
I just joined DSA. I'm sorry. I thought.
I thought Trudeau was the son of Fidel Castro. That was the conspiracy theory.
His father would be rolling in his grave, Commandante Fidel, for that. Jesus God Almighty.
And let's not forget the last time Canada Post workers were in collective bargaining in 2018, the federal government legislated striking postal workers back to work. As Toronto and York Region Labour Council President Andrea Babington explains, as long as employers know the government will step in on their behalf, workers will never have a fair negotiation process. So the question remains now is if workers are willing to break the law if back to work legislation is passed by continuing the strike. Wildcat strikes are not unheard of and very risky, but they have worked, right? Particularly in the neighboring labor union leadership. If they got off their asses and called for a general strike, while the right to strike is protected in our Bill of Rights, it's not worth shit if the government can't. If they can just force the workers back to work anyway. And this is what makes wildcat striking effective and an important tactic to understand. Picket lines must be hardened to block scabs from entering the mail facilities, and doing so will cause corporations to lose millions every day as the Christmas season heats up. But this also carries the risk of heavy fines and other penalties against the union. I don't know how it is where you are, but a wildcat strike, you are fined $1,000 a day.
That's small
if you're striking.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
And the union is fined like $500,000 or something. Like, it's crazy.
Okay. Okay, that makes a bit more
sense.
sense.
You as an individual, if a worker, are fined $1,000 a day. And
they don't usually. That's actually they don't do it here.
But I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I could be wrong, but like that seems so absurd. But like that's why if you wildcat strike, prepare to win, because you're going down otherwise. When we fight, we win. A victory would wash those fines away, as would any disciplinary action. In the fall of 2022, Ontario CUPE public education workers, so Canadian Union of Public Employees, public education workers, so like all of the workers, the staff inside classrooms that aren't teachers, that make teachers' lives much easier in the classroom. They defied Premier Doug Ford's notwithstanding clause, and they shut down schools for 2 days after the government refused to give in to modest demands by the workers. This wildcat strike forced Ford back to the table. I had the honor of leading my crewmates, so we are actually near a picket line on that day. So we spent our lunch hour out there marching with them in solidarity. CUPW was also built out of an illegal strike, and there was a long history of workers doing whatever it takes to win. So it's through the study of these strikes and the revival of these traditions is how we defeat management. And I cannot recommend this book enough. I've just started reading it. But I'm told this is like the manual for striking. So
yes, it is, Aaron.
Not only was I able to stand on the picket line with workers the other night, but I carried with me a message from our own co-host Chris. In return, the picket line chanted "Solidarity for NALC."
That is awesome.
Just before tonight's broadcast, I visited them again today. I got rained out of work, so I had the afternoon off. I brought them a stack of pizzas and a bunch of pallets for the burn barrels. Holy shit! I thought, okay, so the whole time I'm thinking like, oh my god, I just have garbage, Little Caesars pizza. I didn't get anything vegetarian. I didn't get anything without cheese.
Aaron, you messed up.
What am I doing here? And then as soon as I get there, I put it down. It's still steaming hot. I talked to the picket line captain for a few minutes, and I turn around and the pile's gone.
Yes.
It was gone.
Yeah, that's it. Also, I'll get you. I'll send you a few bucks too. I want to chip in for that pizza. That's awesome.
Okay, maybe Saturday night, if they call for another solidarity like karaoke night, I'm gonna try and get some coworkers to show up too. So I have a couple of clips. I got permission from the picket line captain in Branch, local president, Tracy Langiel. She was able to stand with me for a few minutes. My camera was pointed at the ground. I didn't point the camera directly at her. I would have felt weird.
Yeah.
But
Can I just say one thing too about? I just want to comment about something you said. It's great. That comes up, the wildcat strike. Now, in the United States, we had a wildcat strike in 1970. It's historic, at least in my union. It was illegal. It went on for 8 days. They called in the National Guard. The National Guard could not figure out how to do the mail at all, and eventually they won that strike. And it was massive reforms. You can actually see video of like soldiers, like a news broadcaster goes, "What are you doing here at the desk?" And the soldier just goes, "I have no clue what I'm doing here. I don't know how anything works at this place." The phrase I like to use is it's better to break the law than break the union. You have to be prepared to do that. Fuck the law. The law's not written,
I think it was such a mistake for the rail workers not to do it.
Right.
When Biden and the Democratic Party led Congress fucking
well, you don't want to go up
AOC,
against go up against the most pro-labor union president in history.
Yeah, I know. In my union, our postal workers get 3.9% under the most because that happens a lot. So I mean, a lot of people were upset in my union about how the election went, and it's like when we had Trump, we got a shit raise. We had the most pro-labor thing, we got an even shittier raise. Like I think it was 4.8% with Trump, 3.9 with Biden. Like. I mean, same thing with them. We're quasi-public. We're, up until 1970, we were completely a government. It was called the United States Postal Department, but now it's called the United States Postal Service. It changed after 1970. So, like when Trump shut down the government and fucked all the public sector workers over, we can sell funds, stamps, packages, you buy stuff at the post office. That's how we get our funding from. But yeah, that's it. And Aaron talked about too is, how the pension system is going to be grandfathered in. So it's called, and the term you hear is called two-tier systems. I'm a product of a two-tier system. After 2013, our last shitty president decided to go, well, the post office is losing money. So we're going to start, everyone who's been here before 2013, you're going to be safe. But everyone below that, we're going to cut your pay by $7 an hour. That was a massive concession, and we didn't give it up at all. So there's a difference of $35,000 between the top and the bottom. In the 1980s, when we had a fighting union, the difference was $3,000. Like, our union has been going backwards for so long, and if someone mentioned strike or anything, and not, just for the record, I am not calling for a strike publicly. I'm not calling for it yet. But what I'm saying is that, not going on strike, not fighting. Our union doesn't want to have rallies. I'm sure the CUPW has rallies. Our union doesn't want to tell the members anything. We try to fight for open bargaining. They tell us, don't talk to the media. We'll handle this for you. There's a reason, and I'm glad to see a 95% strike vote is insanely good. That's amazing to have that much support behind you. So I'm just saying, the CUPW, you guys are doing it right at all. Our last contract, 88% of people did not vote in the last tentative agreement. We're trying to change that with my reform group. I'm pretty sure this is such a monumentally bad tentative agreement. It'll probably bring out a lot more people out of the woodwork, but thank you, Aaron, for doing this report. I know you're halfway through. I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is near and dear to my heart. And this is like a bizarro world where, like, if I had a fighting union, they'd be doing this. Instead of, we're like 44 cents, like, it's going to amount to basically 44 cents an hour for 1 year is my fucking pay raise. Inflation is going to destroy it. COLAs, also nothing to cost of living adjustment. COLAs do not cover inflation. People think that, it doesn't. Because COLA does not usually account for housing costs, which I don't know if anyone's housing costs are high, but that's the whole problem with it. COLAs do not address housing. Other things, yes. So it's nice, but.
Well, isn't that a thing with our inflation calculations overall in America? Like, we don't include housing prices in that equation or something?
All I can speak to is how COLAs work. If there's someone smarter in the chat who could actually figure that out, that'd be great. But
no, I'm pretty sure.
I just know COLA is not, because everyone thought, that covers COLA, like COLA costs inflation. No, it doesn't. So it started in the 70s because inflation was pretty bad back then too. So that's why they exist, but they don't cover inflation fully.
I mean, like, it doesn't sound like it covers, rent that's gone up like 50%
right. It literally
over the last
is
3
not
years.
in there. Right. Yeah. And also the other thing too you mentioned was diet colas. It's a 13. So if I want to get maximum wage, I have to work fucking 17 years at the post office. 17. So the people at the top get a 100% COLA. And it goes down, which is almost seems like it should be reversed, where the people at the bottom. So those of us who are climbing the ladder, I'm only going to be getting a probably 63%. It's a weird thing, but 63% COLA. I don't even get a full COLA. The people at the bottom get like a 50% COLA. Yeah, so that's what the diet colas are for. Yeah. But if you're at the top, you get 100%, which, like I said, why it should be reversed. It's bad either way, but it would make more sense that the people at the bottom who get the least money get the best colas and it goes down. But either way, it's a smart way for management to pit the newer and younger workers against you. This is why a 2-tier system is fucking bullshit. And I'm glad to see that that guy you talked to in the picket line was saying how bullshit that is too. So yeah, fuck the 2-tier system. All right. Anyway,
so this is an interview I did with so I am not a journalist. I always kick myself for not asking the right questions until later. I try to get some basic information out. Anyway, so this is Tracy Langiel. She is the branch local president. Hey folks, I'm out here on the picket line with the Canadian Union of Postal Workers, and with me is the picket captain,
Tracy Langiel.
And hey, more coffee just arrived. Awesome.
The rest of us just showed up.
So why are you guys on strike?
Yes, I see.
Well, we're negotiating a contract, as people know. They're still negotiating, but we're trying to defend rights for future generations, new workers. Canada Post wants to introduce a 2-tier pension. So they want the new hires to take a defined contribution. So we really feel that we don't want that for new hires. We want them to have the same pension we have.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
And in terms of wages, what are the bosses offering?
So Canada Post is offered, I think it's 11.5. It's 11 or 11.5% over 4 years. We went back with 22. And, the main reason that we are, going with that number is because we've had a number of legislated collective agreements that, we really lost a lot of ground, right? We're trying to gain some ground back.
Wages haven't kept up with inflation.
No, they haven't. So even the offer that they made us doesn't even match what inflation's at right now.
That's insane. So any pay raise that's below inflation is essentially a pay cut.
Lots of rollbacks, yeah.
Some of the things I find outrageous, and I think that affects all of us, is the government, they can dig deep for war and subsidies for oil companies, but when it comes to paying workers who actually keep the economy running, suddenly it's like, well, I don't know, we're kind of short.
Yeah.
That must be frustrating and a regular occurrence for especially for government workers, right?
So what's really frustrating for us is Canada Post is going on the media and they're talking about losses. But what we're trying to get people to understand is that Canada Post embarked on a 5-year, $4 billion investment plan to invest in the infrastructure of the company. They built a huge, brand new, state-of-the-art postal facility in Scarborough, the Albert Jackson. They're greening their entire facility. You can see the vehicles over there. They've had to buy thousands of them, right? Because they're greening their fleet, which is good. We want that to happen. But Canada Post needs to be honest that that's investments. It's not losses.
Yeah.
Labor costs are down.
That's right. A labor cost is just one small part of the operating cost, but it's, costs, like you said, costs go up for vehicles, costs go up for gas. The one thing that does not keep up is wages. And it's always the workers that end up paying for it, right?
And then Canada Post wants those investments to be on our backs.
More conservative elements in the government come in and they're like, well, it has to be run like a business, so it has to be profitable. It has to be, I think it has to be profitable, and there's this nonsensical idea. I think it's nonsensical that things should be run like a business when that's not how this works. This is a service that we as taxpayers pay for.
Well, actually,
this is a ridiculous mindset.
Yeah. So actually, there's been a Canada Post as long as there's been a Canada. It's a cherished public service across communities everywhere, and in some communities, it's a vital service. The smaller services. That's why we're talking about the things we want Canada Post to look at seriously is the expansion of services, especially postal banking. That's something that you know, there's places in this country where there's no banks, but there's a Canada Post, right?
Yeah.
Another thing that people actually don't realize about the post office is that our wages actually aren't paid for by taxpayers, but we are taxpayers. And I think that people forget that, because before we were a Crown corporation, yes, that was the case. But now our wages are paid for by the products and services that we work to provide to people.
Right. That's okay. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So a couple of things there. That's where she clarified that that their wages are paid for through products and services, like, you know,
Yep.
paying for parcels to be shipped.
I pay your salaries. I get that. We get that shit once in a while. You guys are a leech on society. I'm like, yeah.
It's also a service. Like it's a service that they provide, like at a loss in some cases. Like, do you think Amazon is ever going to deliver to like
middle of nowhere? Right. They rely on us. Yeah, it's called last mile delivery. Like UPS, other places will do it because by law we are required to deliver everywhere. We have to. So UPS, SurePost, FedEx, Amazon, Target, we will go in the middle of nowhere because by law, now I'm a city carrier, but we have rural carriers too who pick up the other parts of it too. Yeah. They have to deliver there anyway, and that's why we do it. Because UPS would be losing their shirt if they were going off in the middle of the woods to deliver stuff in a rural route. That's why we come in. We do that shit for them. So
wow, state enterprise, it works.
Relies on the public sector, huh? Jeez.
So this afternoon, I went back and visited and asked a couple of follow-up questions.
Ooh.
This was with Tracy again, and another dude. I don't remember his fucking name. I'm sorry, buddy. He was really nice to talk to. He's also full of really helpful information and tidbits.
So most of our audience is probably American, but there's some Canadian there. So what can people do maybe across international lines, or what can people do locally to support the workers?
Well, locally, communicating to the government to let them know that they're supporting the postal workers in their struggle with Canada Post and demanding a fair contract and fair living conditions and safe working conditions, because those are some of the key issues that are real sticking points for us. Being the most injured workers in the federal sector, we should not be dealing with that. Canada Post has to respect the fact that we should be dealing with those levels of injury. So letters of support or messages of support to the government that direct and instruct Canada Post to negotiate a fair and just collective agreement with the workers, and tell the government to stay hands off and let our constitutional rights to strike and fight for the just working conditions that we're fighting for. Let that process play out.
Cool, thank you. And what I might suggest too is, if you're in a union, you should start talking to your union leadership, whether you have anything to do with CUPW or not. Is to start digging in and preparing for a long fight, because it's like, an attack on one is an attack on all. That's not just a rhetorical thing.
Yes.
If they can force you back to work, then nothing in our Bill of Rights is off the table, and it doesn't mean anything.
That's right.
If they can just boss us around anyway.
And under this new strategy that Canada Post, or I shouldn't say Canada Post, but the government has been adopting in ordering federal unions or government unions back to work, so what they did with the rail workers, what they did with the dock workers, using the CIRB as a backdoor mechanism rather than going through back to work legislation that's tabled in the House. One of the things that other unions and federal unions particularly can do is request or solicit, it's like a third-party status, a third-party to that
arbitrator. I'm sorry,
status to that process, to have a voice on the mechanisms that are being introduced by the CIRB, because it affects the mechanism of all federal unions, so they can have intervener status at those discussions with the CIRB to start bringing, as you're pointing out, to your very good point, bringing all of labor together to argue the justification of the rights that we have and how their actions impact all federal unions and all unions by their actions. This new tactic they're adopting that violate our constitutional rights. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, I assure you, I'm doing everything I can on my part personally.
And appreciate it.
Talking to my union leadership and my coworkers as well. I think we're all on board.
Awesome.
We all and I think if Saturday night, if the next Saturday, if there's karaoke, they will come out.
Okay, was that the guy, the president, or was he just a rank and file member?
That was another higher up guy. I don't remember his.
I was gonna say, because that guy, I'm like, if that's your rank and file, there's a proletarian revolution coming by the fucking postal service there. Because I'm like, okay, that guy knew his shit. That was impressive. If I could just add on a few points too that I really liked here, because I got a lot to say. So, and I'm clearly excited about this. For example, like, you know how she brought up how the bosses are like leaving out how they spent $4 billion on upgrades. During negotiations right now, the United States Postal Service bought $11 billion worth of treasury bonds, but they're going to report that as a loss. Like, oh, we don't have any money. But like, see, like they'll be deceptive on purpose, say we're losing money, revenue's not doing well, and all this other crap. And what I like now, what we're trying to do in the United States, and what she brought up, is postal banking. Postal banking existed for a very, very long time. And I can't imagine why certain sections of the economy would not want a cheap banking alternative for people in remote urban and rural areas. I don't know what all of the big banks would hate this. This is why they got it removed. Doing so, at least in the United States, $9 billion would be added to the post office if we brought back postal banking. I'm sure with Canada, it would be billions. And like I said, it's a win-win for the workers because more money goes in there. 2, it screws over big banks. Who doesn't want to screw over a big bank? And 3, people who live, like I said, if you live in the urban areas, there's no banking services. Or there's check cashing services, which would cost you an arm and a leg. Or if you live out in the middle of nowhere, there's always a post office in your town. But, Bank of America is not going to set up, a bank and put people in there for a town of 400 or 500 people. It's not worth it for them. But the post office does it because it's a fucking service. So that's the thing there too. And and also, Aaron, I do want to set up a pizza fund on the Left Opposition podcast. I'm dead serious. So if you're in the stream, Twitch stream, we're gonna figure something out. Check our social medias and stuff because we do.
Send me your bits. Send a donation. Join our Patreon.
Oh God, do that.
Yeah, that all helps. And,
oh my God, the Patreon.
And we'll put all that towards we'll put out towards a pizza fund for the postal workers. I have one last little clip here. Not little, it's 5 minutes. This was actually the first half of the last clip I just played. This is Tracy and the other guy, and maybe he says his name here. I'm not.
I read somewhere that CUPW was actually formed out of an illegal strike. Can you speak a bit about that?
Yeah, it was so originally there was no right to strike in the federal sector, and CUPW, while it was a management-driven or a corporate union, there was it broke off from that under the days when you had Joe Davidson and Jean-Claude Perrault back in the early days of '65, and that's when CUPW broke off and went out on strike and did illegal strikes, which then changed the legislation and granted the right to strike in the federal sector. So that right was actually initiated through the illegal actions of CUPW.
So was it a result of that as how we got the right to strike enshrined in the Bill of Rights?
At least in the federal sector, I couldn't say in the larger context, but for CUPW, it was in the federal sector, the right to strike was granted and won through the actions of CUPW. We were the first to get that.
Cool.
So wildcat strikes led to our right to strike enshrined in our Bill of Rights. Imagine that.
Wow, civil disobedience against a bourgeois government wins things for workers. Wow, maybe someone should tell my fucking president that. Fucking coward. Oh my God.
Okay, there's still more here.
Follow-up question to illegal striking. If they enforce legislation, back to work legislation, are you guys prepared for perhaps a wildcat strike? In 2022, the public education workers, we nearly brought down the Ford government through there was talks of like a general strike. That was an illegal wildcat strike, and if when you win, all the fines and all the punishment none of that matters. Has there been any talk? In 2018, you guys were legislated back to work by Trudeau. So, has there been any talk or discussion if that happens again? What are the next steps?
So those conversations, and Tracy probably might be able to expand on that as well, but those conversations are happening at the national level, but I don't think that and they're going to happen closer to whatever kind of decisions are made, but I don't think there's been a definitive decision yet made by the National Executive Board of the union, and certainly nothing that's been communicated down as any kind of intention or even just to kind of solicit the pulse of the membership on the work floor or on the picket lines, because we'd have to obviously have everybody on side and prepared and understanding what that looks like.
What the risks are.
Yeah, what the risks are, and be prepared to take those risks.
How do you feel about the workers on the ground? Do you think they'd be willing to, or are they willing to fight to the end?
They're certainly willing to fight right now and they're behind everything we're doing, and we're kind of keeping the morale up and the information going on the issues that we're fighting for and what's important and why we can't take the concessions or the rollbacks that the employer wants. So when we get closer, and depending on what the timelines look like, certainly there will be people that will be ready to take any steps and measures to do what we got to do. Whether that's the overwhelming majority, that'll be a discussion when the time comes, and based on what the landscape looks like and what the National Executive Board communicates down to us.
I think it's going to take a brave and militant leadership and a number of rank and file. I think.
Yes.
If that comes. I think it's I don't know.
I think nationally our union gave a message that back to work legislation was something we were tired of seeing. So I do know that they've been told they'll have those conversations, and I do believe they're having the conversations. It's just like to Terry's point, we haven't had anything definitive yet.
So it's not ruled out, and it's not off the table yet.
It's being talked about. So there's been no, we're not going to do that, but there's been no, because it's like when the education workers did it in 2022, there was a lot of kind of prep work that went into that behind the scenes with a lot of the other unions and the solidarity. A lot of the war chests were being supplemented through other unions supporting that. So we're not in kind of the loop on what kind of that level of preparation has gone on within CUPW or if it's gone on. So that will be something that the national will kind of also want to keep close to its vest, so the employer doesn't know where we're going to stand on that, obviously. And so we're just waiting to hear what their thoughts and what their communication is going to be.
Perfect. Yeah, that's fantastic. I don't think of anything else. Is there any anything else you'd want to say to an audience that might not be familiar with this, or?
Well, I think I always think something worth saying to people, and even if it's a pro-labor audience, it's something that they can tell people about. Is there's a misconception that we are paid by taxpayers, and we aren't. We are paid by the goods and services that we provide as workers at Canada Post, and when we're profitable, that money goes back to the Canadian public, and the wages and the improvements that we are trying to achieve here go right back into communities, right? So it's really important that people understand, no, taxpayers don't pay our wages, and they have for a very, very long time, but that's out there. So that's really important for people to know. And, the concessions that they want to see us take, the rollbacks that they want to see us to take on pensions, and particularly pensions, we just can't have that. We're defending pensions into the future and to retire with dignity for future generations, and that's important to us.
I really, really appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyway, so obviously it's hard to record. This is me right after work because
we can tell clearly.
I went there straight from the site.
I almost got arrested at picket line, and someone like Chris is not homeless. He's dirty from his job. I get that. Yeah.
So I hope that came through. I was just recording on my phone, and it's hard to do that during
very nice.
To a busy road.
Dude, nice job on this, dude.
And honestly, the honking also is a big deal. People,
it's a good problem, but not good for us on the pod.
They get honked all the time. Fine. So I guess we'll just leave it there with the final word with the workers on the ground. So once again, full on solidarity to our posties. We'll see you again real soon.
Yeah.
And
that was great. All right. Actually, because this was Joe, you want to talk about your thing? My thing is not as prepared, the article from the RCA, but we need something. We need. You know what? We need to discuss anti-Semitism, right? Going on. I hear it's on every college campus, everywhere we got. Now, they don't talk about little neo-Nazis marching in the streets. That's not really anti-Semitism. That word. This is a different anti-Semitism, right?
There's a lot of anti-Semitism from Palestine protesters that no one can seem to quite point to. No, it's
right.
It's always like so much such anti-Semitism, much hate, and nothing really is there.
Okay.
But in that vein, Let me see. So, okay, a couple of different things are happening on this front. Is it possible for me to share?
Just send me the link.
Yep.
Okay.
Much easier because I've got it on Twitch here.
Okay, there's a couple. So, all right. So what has actually passed is this House resolution. Oh, should I send it on Twitch?
Twitch or
on the Zoom,
the Zoom chat.
Or the Zoom. Okay. So what has actually passed, I think as of today, or yesterday, was HR Resolution 1449, condemning the global rise of anti-Semitism and calling upon countries.
And it's a Democrat, huh? That's good. A Democrat is the one that sponsored it. Very good.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure this will be addressing all the neo-Nazis marching in the street recently, right?
Right, which is nuts.
Okay.
Again,
is that being? We're talking about that, right? Because that's anti-Semitic to have neo-Nazis marching in the street. So
yeah. I mean, there's that, and then they don't really mention anything. Like they don't mention pro-Palestine protesters. But a lot of this is pretty like if this was completely detached from the context of what's going on, it's pretty uncontroversial. It's like, okay, yeah, there's a rise of anti-Semitism. We're calling upon countries to counter anti-Semitism. Okay, great. So there's all these things where they say in the past several decades, we signed this thing, the Berlin Declaration, we did this other thing. And so the one thing that explicitly ties it to to Israel is it mentions, whereas in the months since October 7th, 2023, Hamas terrorist attack against Israel, Jewish communities around the world have experienced a significant increase in anti-Semitic threats. Now that might be true.
Maybe.
Like I could see that being true for sure, but like
around the world.
Also,
so I guess okay.
Yeah,
right.
but I think saying October 7th and that, okay, Hamas terrorists attack Israel, and then the world experienced an increase in anti-Semitic threats. And it's like, well, is weird. That because maybe like because Israel says we represent all Jews and then they do a genocide? Like, could that possibly be tied to an actual rise in anti-Semitism? Because I see that shit. Like, I do see that shit, like, on Twitter and stuff where it's a cesspool. Like,
yes,
you'll be in like a pro-Palestine conversation and then someone will pop in and be like, yeah, that's right. The Jews, they've always been like this. And it's like, no, bro, like,
yeah, I think I think it's good. It's good for the most part that attitudes like that are largely excised from the movement against apartheid and genocide in Israel, because again, these are coalitions led by like Jewish students,
right,
and Jewish Voices for Peace.
But I do think that tying it to October 7 here does suggest like they're trying to by proximity suggest here that like, oh, Hamas terrorist attacks are about anti-Semitism.
That
like,
was it. They only attacked them because they were Jewish. Right. Not because Israel has been terrorizing and destroying them for 75 years. It's because they were Jewish.
Right. If Catholics had done that to them, they wouldn't care.
Right. That's it. I know.
If other Muslims did it, they'd be fine with it. Like what the hell are we talking about? Okay. So basically, they passed this thing that is like it's clearly like supposed to be kind of it's clearly kind of tied to this other thing they're trying to pass, which is the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. Now, this House Resolution 1449 passed like with overwhelming support. Literally 3 people didn't vote for it, and it was Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Cori Bush.
And AOC voted for this shit?
Yes, AOC voted for it.
There's your how's your leader, DSA?
Oh my God. Yeah. God. Now, what AOC said was that this is something like she said, I will not vote for the other thing because that is, tying anti-Semitism to anti-Zionism, which is wrong. But she says this is the kind of thing that Republicans put forward to like divide the left or like bait the left and be able to say like, oh, look, the left doesn't want to condemn anti-Semitism. But even if that's true, it's like, okay, but do you want to counter message and like, fight back against this? Or do you want to just like play the Republicans' little game and vote for the thing they want you to vote for? Right. So anyway, that's what happened with this. Now, my other link is, so there's this one, Schumer is he wants to attach this Anti-Semitism Awareness Act to the 2025 NDAA.
Oh
that's the
my
National Defense Authorization
God.
Act, which
What
is
are they
a
doing?
quote must pass bill.
There it is. Yeah.
Because it's because it's military funding. So of course you have to do that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
we have to give $1 trillion to the military this year. And so he's like desperate to tie this, to the NDAA. Now, the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, what that does is enshrine what's called the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism into law. The IHRA,
they're giving themselves legal cover, first of all. Yeah.
Yes,
How
because
does
this
not
is
violate the First Amendment. I'm just like, you can say,
they
okay.
don't care.
I know.
Don't care about that.
It's tricky how they do this. So,
Where's Elon Musk on this shit, huh? Oh yeah, he has his fake Israeli dog tags that he wears around now.
So this link is to the IHRA, and this is the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance.
Okay.
And it's their definition of anti-Semitism. So again, a lot of it's uncontroversial. Anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews, which may be expressed as hatred towards Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed towards Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and their property, towards Jewish community institutions and religious facilities. Like, yeah, sure, fine, that's all true. But you go down the list a little bit,
all right.
And so, like, calling for aiding the harming of Jews,
denying the Holocaust,
humanizing,
all right.
But then we get a little spicy. Accusing the Jews as a people or Israel as a state of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust. Okay, I mean, that's bad. But accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or the alleged priorities of Jews worldwide than to the interests of their own nation.
Trump that, because that's a dual loyalty shit that Trump always isn't this implying? Right? Dual loyalty.
So like, does that mean, because Chuck Schumer is a Jewish citizen of the US? Like, can I argue that he is showing more deference to Israel by trying to pass this stupid thing than he is to say,
you are an anti-Semite then. That's all I know.
Accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or in the alleged priorities of Jews worldwide than to the interests of their own nation. So that's anti-Semitism. Wouldn't APAC
literally
fall into
be
this
the
category?
most right?
That's literally just saying you can't criticize APAC.
But APAC falls into this category.
Right. Being more loyal. Well, that's just a statement of fact, because it seems right here there's a lot of Zionists who want to spend billions to drop bombs on Palestinian children versus helping children in America. If I say that, I'm an anti-Semite to their definition, right? Would that be anti-Semitism? Okay. All right. 8 billion should be towards healthcare for all children, but okay. All right.
So the part you just highlighted there, Aaron, is
is good.
Denying the Jewish people their right to self-determination, e.g., by claiming that the existence of a state of Israel is a racist endeavor. So you're not allowed to study the history of Israel, which many academic institutions do, and come to the conclusion that there be some racism here. They be doing a little racism,
or ask any Israeli on the street what they think of Palestinians. You're not allowed to ask
that. Yeah. That is incredible. That's not in case anyone wants to know, this isn't anti-Semitism. Jesus Christ. They're really watering down this fucking term.
And now, so this one,
there's more.
So my another point I want to make, and this has to do with this, applying double standards by requiring of it a behavior not expected or demanded of any other democratic nation.
They're not democratic. My God.
I love that that's so sneaky when they do that. Like, they said that about Netanyahu today. Someone was like, I can't believe the ICC issued a warrant for a democratically elected leader. It's like, I'm sorry, a democratically elected leader can't do genocide? Like, what?
No, I guess they can't. No, not at all.
Batista was democratically elected, and then
I believe a lot of American. I believe Thomas Jefferson and all these other people who actually forcibly relocated Native Americans and conducted a genocide were democratically elected. I guess everyone who's in the Indian Wars of the 1870s was democratically elected. In fact, every goddamn Democrat. You could. Oh my God!
I mean, that's the nifty thing about liberal democracy is you just get to say that.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
but it's only
this,
anti-Semitic if I say Israel does it. If I point out Americans do it, it's fine, I guess. But okay.
This to me says, okay, applying double standard. Like, yeah, I guess it would be anti-Semitic if you criticized Israel for stuff that you don't criticize other countries for. But I mean, I guess. But also, then it's like we do.
I criticize America all the time.
Right.
I criticize Britain, France, like Germany.
So by saying that, like, oh, well, we're not saying that you can't criticize Israel. It just has to be, like fair. It can't be a double standard. And it's like, okay, but is that what we're doing? Like, I think we're just criticizing Israel, and they are calling it a double standard. They're calling it anti-Semitic. So then to the point that one of you said a minute ago, like they're just codifying what they're already doing.
Right.
Which is
no shit.
It's the same thing as like, so I don't know if you like, if anyone kept up with the Twitch drama recently, but there was a whole thing there where like, people were like mass reporting Hassan and shit, like, trying to like accusing him of like using Zionist as a slur, and like other Muslim creators like Frogan, there's this whole fucking thing. And they came up with a new rule on Twitch where they ban the use of the word Zionist as a slur, because they're saying, oh, it can be used as a slur for Jewish people. That we're banning, but you can use it in the political context. And I'm like, that's bullshit, because the way people use it is in the political context. So you're just like creating this problem and saying that like, when Hassan talks about Zionists, he's being anti-Semitic. When Frogan does this, she's being anti-Semitic because they're, the unspoken thing is they're Muslims. But like,
no shit.
It's just like, no, you are just it's a carve out that's meaningless. It's like abortion laws where they're like, oh, well, of course, it's an exception for the life of the mother, if the life of the mother is threatened. And it's like, okay, when is the life of the mother threatened? The minute we know she has an ectopic pregnancy, or does she have to be bleeding out?
Right.
Like,
and in many cases, doctors won't touch her because they don't want to go to jail for it, like in Texas or Mississippi or in Alabama. Yeah.
And that happens all the time. And there's no, and doctors have been prosecuted for like, intervening at certain points. And it's like, no one knows then when can I actually help the fucking patient? And that's exactly what's happening here. It's going, oh, well, no, of course you can use it in the legitimate sense. And it's like, I have been. So what am I allowed to actually say now?
Right. Christian Zionism is a thing. Like it's not related to just Jewish people. Right. Like half of the Congress people, are like, oh, the Christian Zionism, because their belief is that Jesus has to, if the Jewish people control all of historic Israel or greater Israel, then Jesus will show up quicker. That's their belief. And like they have rallies, they go down there. Watch Jesus Land if you want to see these nuts doing it. But all right. The next thing on the list. Now, actually, this one actually seems kind of legit. This one here, using symbols.
Some of these are interesting. Using the symbols and images associated with classic anti-Semitism, example, claims of Jews killing Jesus or blood libel. Okay, so Jackson Hinkle is anti-Semitic, which we already knew.
Oh, no shit. Yep. Right.
Now here's the last one.
Then we're gonna get weird. So like
the last one's covering their asses. They're really covering their asses with this last one, holding Jews collectively responsible for actions of the state of Israel. I would agree with that.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But
no one's doing that.
Because if you accept the premise that Israel speaks for all Jews and Israel's carrying out a genocide, then and I'm not saying we wholeheartedly reject this premise, but if you accept that, if you follow it to its logical conclusion, that would paint all Jews around the world as legitimate targets, and that's so therefore the state of Israel is literally putting Jews in danger.
Right. And the irony is that if you go back it says denying Jewish people the right to self-determination by claiming that the existence of the state of Israel races, it almost contradicts half of this shit on there about the state of Israel. And the other one too, the one before it, I love this one, drawing comparisons of contemporary Israeli policy to that of Nazis. That is called the truth. It's not
Right.
anti-Semitism. You are doing ethnic cleansing.
Yeah.
You are torturing people and children. You are purposely bombing women and children. You're bombing hospitals. You do the double tap where you bomb a school, first responders show up, and you bomb it again. You are the equivalent of Nazis, in my opinion, the state of Israel. 100%.
I mean, that's
good.
That's like such a crazy thing. It's like when like Piers Morgan does this, but a lot of people in media do this, where it's like, how can you like you can't compare Trump to Hitler. You can't compare Republicans to Nazis. That's crazy. No one's like the Nazis. And it's like, okay, then why do we study the Nazis? Why do we study genocide and how it happens? Is it so that we can look back later and be like, oh, that was unfortunately a genocide of the Palestinians? It's like, no, bro, we're supposed to look at what's happening and be able to speak up and stop it. But if you can never compare it to like past genocides, then what's the fucking point? It's insane.
You sound like an anti-Semite, according to this list, Joe. All right. Not good. Not a good look for you, man. All right. You know, you can't say that. Drawing comparisons of contemporary Israeli policy, it literally is the policy to just out-Nazi the Nazis. They've killed way more people in that short amount of time in that specific area, and all with the blessing of Joe Biden and soon to be Donald Trump. And this has been going on since 1948 of ethnic cleansing. It's just insane. No, my God.
So is the International Criminal Court, are they anti-Semitic? Because they issued another arrest warrant for Netanyahu. Again, you know, fucking dog-brained clowns like John Fetterman were coming out and be like, we reject this. This is anti-Semitic. Joe Biden voted in 2002 as part of the Hague Invasion Act or some crazy like that. If the Hague ever comes after us or any of our allies, we will invade the Hague.
You know what? You bring up a really good point there, Aaron. If you consider that international bodies have criminalized members of Israel for their actions, these laws that we've been looking at are actually ways that the U.S. can retaliate against those people. And because many of these institutions meet in the United States, if they show up on a plane and they're found in violation of any of these laws on American soil, they can be arrested under these laws that they're trying to pass. And the way they know it is that, you know, they have a past voting record. So it's not like they have to do much investigating to say, okay, well, they're on American soil, instant arrest based on this blanket statement of anti-Semitism, et cetera. So in that vein, this sounds not only domestically will it affect Palestinian solidarity protest, but also international institutions that try to push back.
Yep.
Yeah. And so here's Senator Marsha Blackburn. I'm calling on the Senate to immediately pass legislation sanctioning this kangaroo court. Every individual involved
get a grip, lady,
who attack Israel should face severe repercussions. This is in response to the ICC issuing an arrest warrant for Israeli Premier
Netanyahu. My God, she supports she's a terrorist supporter. And, what do we expect?
Everyone involved should face sanctioning, including let's see, every individual, including this one, the 94-year-old Holocaust survivor and former Israeli diplomat and judge who advised the ICC and agreed there was a war crimes case against Netanyahu.
Sanction this anti-Semite for God's sakes. We'll have to show him this list. So that's it. Wow, that's terrible. Aaron, I did put up on the chat. I haven't read this, but Joe Biden has a rebuttal. Just came out 2 hours ago. So, here we go.
Yeah,
I'll read.
All right. Listen, Jack.
Listen, Jack. The ICC issuance of arrest warrants against Israeli leaders is outrageous. Let me be clear once again. Whatever the ICC might imply, there is no equivalence. None between Israel and Hamas. We will always stand with Israel against threats to its security. Joe Biden will go down as one of the worst presidents in American history.
You know what, though? I unironically agree with him. There is no equivalence between Israel and Hamas.
Hamas is clearly the lesser evil.
Not even close.
Oh my God. Israel is, my God, the most evil thing. Oh my God.
You know what
Go ahead.
what's interesting about the wording is when he says, "Let me whatever the ICC might imply, there's no equivalent." So it's like it's like he doesn't even know what they're saying. It's just like whatever they say, it's not true. Like whatever those assholes tell you about Israel, I don't believe it.
And also, I like the word imply. Like, hey, Chris, what happened last night? Well, the police implied that I was drinking and driving and I hit a car. But they are just implying it. Like, no, they charged me with it. It's not implying you were criminally charged. My God, like, I'm so like, this is why the Democrats lost. You fucking genocidal fucks. Like, I can't believe this shit.
And it's this, and then it's the fucking boomers in my life who will be like, I can't believe you're criticizing Biden when like Hitler's coming into office. And I'm like, bro, I'm so glad that like Biden's war machine doesn't hurt you, and like all you are really worried about with the way you're set up in life is that Trump is like a rude meanie, and like it's like. It's just unbelievable. Like these people are so deranged by Trump, and they can't even entertain criticism of the Democratic Party to be like, oh, maybe we should make the following changes. Not even like leave the party and join us. It's just like anything. It's like, no, you're just complaining. Like, fuck, dude.
Oh my God. Oh, children are being bombed. Oh, Netanyahu's the good guy. Like, oh my God. All right, Aaron, on the screen here. Now, I did hear President Brendan was actually in the Amazon jungle. And he kind of just maybe wandered off a little bit. Is that where?
Yeah.
All right. We got President. There he is.
This is Biden. There's a tropical jungle.
It's gonna be like going, man.
And
All right.
it's
Gonna
be
just,
like,
why is he?
Bye. that's like Homer disappearing into the bush.
Yeah.
Is that a fake background or is it like Camp David?
Oh, he was in the Amazon
He
for
was
the
in the
I think the
Amazon.
G20 summit. I think.
Oh, he really was in the Amazon. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Okay. Well, there you go. Holy crap.
All the headlines are Biden wanders into Amazon jungle after remarks.
The Amazon is the lungs of the world. But in my view, our forests and national wonders are the heart and soul of the world. They unite us. They inspire us. They make us proud of our countries and heritage. A bridge to the past and to our future. A birthright we pass down from generation to generation. The Amazon rainforest was built up over 50 million years. 50 million years. History is literally watching us now. So let's preserve this secret place for our time and forever for the benefit of all humanity. Thank you very, very much.
Interesting application of the Monroe Doctrine. It's ours. You notice, and this is the American president, not the Brazilian.
Yeah.
Wow, there he is.
Watch this
Also,
clip.
I just
And
wanna
there he
be like-
goes.
Well, there's an ice cream cone maker, but behind the leaves. So
What if this was it? And then we get President Harris for a few days.
that mean?
You know, like that'd be crazy. And
I
President
just want to
Harris.
know.
just-
I just want to ask him,
refuse to
like,
believe.
what have you done to fucking protect the Amazon? You fucking asshole.
No, just do more fracking.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's protected Amazon, but
It's the only Amazon he protects
Yeah.
too. All right. Everything, Aaron. Aaron has he alerted us about they're not our friends in the American quote unquote Communist Party. That thing would take way too long. That I was gonna do the Russia thing. That would take me forever. It's a long article. It's a great article. There'll be another one, but
I don't know how much time. How much time you guys got? We can always split this into 2 episodes.
oh, really? Okay, we could.
It doesn't matter to me.
Let's just do the ACP one.
On the
I
ACP?
didn't.
Okay.
Also, I'm trying to back out of me. I'm a mailman. I don't know if I mentioned that in the show, and the volume's picking up. I couldn't prep as long, and I have a dog, and there's me apologizing for it. And I just got out of COVID. I have brain fog, so that's it. But
Fair
all right,
enough, sir.
all right, here we go. The American Communist Party.
Okay,
Not really a party, not really communist, but definitely American. They had a recent situation. They wanted to, I guess, they're trying to do some Maoist kind of thing, it seems like, with serve the people. I'm guessing that's their little shtick they're doing.
Yeah, is this like a weird mass line thing that they're doing? Where they just go pick up garbage.
They're just making shit up. Yeah, they know some words and they're just adding it all in. But God.
Okay, yeah, just give me 2 seconds.
No problem. But yeah,
here we go.
Yeah. Also, the comments have been great. I just want to say they've always been fun. So, oh God, you guys are great.
I just want to make one short comment about the anti-Semitism deal.
Yeah.
So, for listeners of the podcast, the reason why we're highlighting these new laws or possible laws, or even how the right wing or just the ruling class in general talk about anti-Semitism, it isn't to sort of like whine and say, well, if only we could get the ruling class to think as we do about anti-Semitism, everything would be better. Okay. That is navel gazing as far as I'm concerned. What we are concerned with is showing what new tools the ruling class is adding to its arsenal in order to oppress the working class, to oppress those who are protesting against more oppression or support of Israel in bombing, 500,000 people to dust and being able to do it with no repercussions. That information will help us to build a program that will fight back against an enemy who is determined to snuff out the working classes organization. And we've got to be prepared for that.
Yeah. And it's worth mentioning for anyone like coming from the Democratic Party, which I think most of us do, that the Democrats are rushing to put all of this through with Trump on his way into office.
Right.
Like, that's just important to remember.
I mean, Democrats is sponsoring this. They introduced by a Democrat put this in. Like, they're the ones who they have no guts and they can't say, I'm sorry, no, this is not anti-Semitic. Israel's committing a genocide. But if I look and I go, they're acting like Nazis. Okay, I just violated 4 laws and that made a bullshit list of anti-Semitism. Like, but like whenever you see like these Nazi marches, that happened. There's about 7 of these jagoffs that go marching around. They don't come out anywhere in the media. Like, I don't see them like making a press conference. Nothing.
Yo, did you see Dana Bash suggesting?
Oh my God,
that
Dana Bash is the fucking worst Zionist I've ever seen.
She's their Starmer, like their Sturmer, whatever it is.
Aaron, did you see this? Wait, Matt, did you guys see this thing?
Probably. I don't know. I'm tired.
So it showed the 7 little clowns in Ohio marching around the little black Nazi flags, and so someone Dana Bash goes, now these people, we can't tell if they're on the far left or the far right. It's like
Jesus.
Are you that like you went to college? You're not that stupid. You're just
they're not that stupid,
right.
But
they were called National Socialists.
They want to remain in control, and so they're going to tar everybody else with the same. They're extremists, and it doesn't have to make sense. And again, you're never going to talk them out of it, not because they're stupid, because I think they're smart enough to know that it's not actually the case, but it's a tool for oppression. And so any lie will do. It's like talking to the cops. They will lie to you about any number of things in order to get their job done. This is the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Right. And then like in the same breath, she said there was, I guess, probably a Democratic politician, and they were like, well, there were also protesters who were protesting on your lawn at your house. So it's the far left and the far right are basically the same. Protesting a politician who supports funding a genocide and literal fucking neo-Nazis on the other. She's saying they're basically the same thing. Insane. Just insane. Dana Fash. I like that in the comment next, Jay. That's awesome. But yeah, Dana Fash.
Dana Fash. I love it. That's comedy.
All right. So let's take it down a few degrees.
Yeah, if you take that bullshit centrist approach where you're like, I literally can't tell you two apart. Guess what? You're a fascist.
Yeah.
But yeah,
my God.
Speaking of working with cops,
it's true.
This is our weekly ACP segment. The ACP always does something amazing, and then they always have
Jesus
to do.
Christ!
They always have to do
Tacoma Police Department.
They always have to do damage control.
Those bastards pulled me over on my way to Seattle.
If I could just, oh my God! So let me just prep a little bit here now, folks. Now, say you're new to this communism, you're new to Trotskyism, socialism, even Stalinism, whatever you say you're into this communism. Typically, not a single communist would ever support the police. Ever. The military is a separate issue. There's a lot of working class people, but the police are the class enemy who are trained to beat the shit out of us. If you've ever been on a picket line, the police are there, not for the workers, for the bosses. So 101, cops are not our friends in the communist movement. Aaron, what does this say from the American quote unquote Communist Party?
So this is from the ACP Washington branch. ACP Washington volunteered with a partnership between the Tacoma Police Department and the Tacoma Ministerial Alliance to package and distribute about 500 turkeys and bags of food for families in need.
They work with the cops.
Yeah, no problem. what's the problem?
You fucking losers. Oh my God. Who thought this was a good idea?
Yeah, well,
158 likes. Way to go, you
Well, they did.
bootlickers. Yeah, that's great. So I just want to say you're a disgrace, but you are a disgrace anyway. I was just saying that before I read this article.
Well, I don't know, guys. What's wrong with handing out 500 turkeys to hungry families?
Well, the problem is if neo-Nazis were handing out turkeys and I joined them, someone could say, Chris, why do you want to not get turkeys out to people? I go, well, there's a bunch of Nazis with me, but we're not talking about, but okay. So look, they're pathetic anyway, but they issued a statement today, shortly after. All right, so here it is, folks.
So they put out this statement with a preface that says, we at the Washington chapter of the American
guys.
Communist Party would like to rectify a recent mistake by issuing a public self-criticism in order to reflect upon a recent error. We remain committed to the principle of proletarian political independence. So here's a...
What are they, like the Red Guards? We're doing self-criticism?
We engaged in rogue, unauthorized activity by cooperating with the local police. Covering
down,
your
guys.
asses. Covering your asses. Post facto. Come on.
This activity contravened the general party purpose of community service, which is to demonstrate proletarian organization and initiative independent of the state. Our chapter did not acquire the approval of party leadership by participating in an event with the local police department as required by the ACP Constitution, which states chapters are only autonomous
Wait, there's a Constitution.
To the degree their actions fulfill the general aims of the party. The aim of community service is to promote political and organizational independence of the proletariat and not promote further dependence upon existing state institutions. Also, I absolutely do not believe that. I bet you Haas, Eddie, Noah, all those idiots would, like, they probably saw this and saw, hey, that's a really great idea. And they until the backlash hit. And then they had to backtrack on it.
My God, it's a group of petty bourgeois kids.
It was provocative and unduly emphasized the role of the police department and the extent of our cooperation with them in distributing food to the needy. It unduly aggrandized the police in a way that minimized the efforts of our party. So Eddie is a good self-criticism.
Eddie wrote this.
On the right track. We can all learn from. So I'm just reading the comments now. We can all learn from our mistakes. Taking accountability is courageous.
Oh, here we go. LMFO, you got God.
So the chairman himself.
Here we go.
Chairman Haas. Your actions were done with the best of intentions, and materially, you helped distribute food to the needy. However, the police represent the system that is failing and abusing the people of this country. The purpose of our party is to provide an alternative. Your ability to engage in self-criticism is the face of, in the face of this error, speaks volumes about your commitment to proletarian collective discipline.
Are you kidding me? They use all these big words. They just, God, self-criticism. Jesus Christ.
I refuse to believe that Hazaldin himself actually wrote this out. So someone else wrote this for him, because I'm sorry, that guy has like 3 brain cells.
Oh wait, what is it? Wait, hold on. Haas says something stupid here. We find no need to respond to the hypocrisy of quote unquote radicals who attend protest NGO affiliated with the CIA and the military-industrial complex, and who themselves rely on police protection whenever faced with any real adversary, who collaborate with federal agencies to hunt down and attack communists.
How magnanimous of them.
Oh my God, get a grip, dude. Okay. Wow.
So, yeah.
Hank Holiday.
It seems like a weekly thing where they have to do this kind of damage control. Midwestern Mark says that everyone makes mistakes. What matters is being willing to make adjustments.
Oh, of course.
Mentally strong people are not those who never
mentally strong.
What is that?
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
I'm curious what that means.
That's not fascist.
This is the dumbest shit I've ever read in my life.
But those who don't make the same mistakes over and over again, Noah, our buddy Noah, this is what being a communist is all about: recognizing where we've made a wrong turn.
Oh my God, did I get the same memo? Arkansas worker. Oh, those guys. Oh God, they got worse. I think it's.
Oh, and then a bunch of comments about purity. So
Stalin and Mao.
So I thought these guys didn't give a shit about all the degenerate blue-haired people on Twitter, but I guess there was enough backlash that they had to issue a retraction, and they were like, you know what? Maybe they got it right. Maybe we weren't supposed to work with cops.
Oh,
we are a horde.
Yeah,
that is what we are.
You know what's really sad is that they mentioned it, and maybe this could be a known article episode, but apparently the American Communist Party has a 19-page constitution.
I ain't reading all that.
I know. Look at this crap. And 1776 is brought up. God, you guys are pathetic. I don't see 1917 anywhere.
Times New Roman. What is this? 1998?
They patterned it after the U.S. Constitution. They earned those. They earned those stars and bars there.
Oh my God!
Did I say stars and bars? I'm sorry.
You mentioned yesterday the Black Panthers 12 points, 10 points, whatever.
10-point plan, 10-point program, and they have a 19-page fucking constitution. My God.
Yeah.
Oh, and they support Marxist-Leninism. Boy, they're so well trained at Marxist-Leninism in the Washington branch. They work with cops. Oh man, maybe you guys should maybe you should read some of those books. Instead of just like using my God, this is like how they like anti-Semitism means nothing to people use this term. Stop using Marxist-Leninism. My God, like there's Maoists out there who should slap the shit out of you.
Yeah, I mean, we have our disagreements with Marxist-Leninists, but like like that is not your.
They don't work with cops.
You're not allowed. Yeah, exactly. To their credit,
right?
And they come down harder on these Nazbols harder than we do.
Yeah.
So so to their credit, they do call them out when they have to. No, these people are a joke.
No, they're not serious people.
We keep bringing attention to them because they keep
saying the dumbest shit in the world.
Keep tripping over their dicks in the stupidest ways.
No shit. And they have democratic centralism. The American, I'm just reading the Constitution, but is democratic centralism. Didn't seem like they did a good job at democratic centralism by helping cops today in Tacoma, but okay, keeping with the principles.
It's a buzzword with these people, though. Every time they use a piece of jargon.
They just know these words. Clearly, this is when you read something and when you understand something. Like, oh my God, stop using our term. Just be called like the Republican Party. That's all you need to be known as.
Or the NSDAP, as
there you go. That was it. Oh, Doug would have a field day with this shit. All right. Well, I think we got a pretty good showing. I think it was about an hour and a half. I think this is nice. I want to say, Aaron, nice job with the postal worker stuff. That was amazing work you did.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Really?
Yeah.
Really.
So that's one of the reasons why we don't make as many episodes as we do, because a lot of us are busy doing real work. We're actually out on the streets, marching with our fellow workers. In my case, working 60 hours last week. It's rough. I know Chris got COVID, and we all have when we're busy. So we would love to get more content out, but unfortunately, just the way our schedules are working. I do have plans. I still want to do it, like a theory series. I also want to explore more long form essays, just general themes. There's one I'm working on right now. It's like, why hasn't the U.S. had a proletarian revolution? And exploring the different Marxist currents that tries to explain that, whether is the U.S. working class, are they inherently anti-revolutionary and bought off by the labor aristocracy, or is it because of a lack of proletarian leadership, or the blah blah blah? These are themes that I kind of want to explore a little bit and maybe come up with an answer, and then see what we can do going forward.
I'm amazed how much you care about my country. Yeah, I don't know. I'm amazed at how well you study this stuff. Like, I don't know shit about Canada. I mean, I love Canada. I love visiting Canada. Tim Hortons we can talk about later off air, but like everything I love about Canada, man. And I don't know crap about who's your governor or who the president is.
I did notice though earlier when you mentioned the word. I did notice earlier when you used the word tidbits to talk about your interview, you accidentally used the word Timbits. I wasn't going to say it at the time because I didn't want to slow your roll, but I was like, okay, that there is a Canadianism, and I love it.
Oh my God.
I'm all about it.
I know. I saw Timbits. My wife and I laugh at Timbits too. It's funny.
I will say your country's politics are extraordinarily entertaining and terrifying. And
we live it.
And the fact is, as much as I'm trying to do here, we know that a revolution in Canada cannot succeed without a revolution in the United States.
Because we'll invade your ass, man.
A revolution in Canada would last minutes, maybe hours. I don't know. before.
Well, it sounds like that picket
were
line's
annexed
ready.
Ontario immediately.
Before any sort of American intervention. So the belly of the beast is going to be the biggest and longest fight, I think, in the fight for socialism worldwide. And so
it might be collapsing, so that might be an opportunity.
And you guys are an hour, and Buffalo's an hour away from me, so it's not like I'm exactly far away from you guys.
We still gotta meet. We haven't met up yet.
And I'll have you know too. By the way, thanks for your fucking bullshit politics. There's an overpass just outside St. Catharines, Ontario. It's about 20 minutes outside the border. Every Friday, there's a bunch of trucker convoy, anti-vaxxer clowns waving.
Still go?
Oh my god!
Every Friday,
go home, you losers.
Except on Tuesday, on the election night, they had Trump flags waving out there. So fucking Trump flags in my country, and they had a spray painted like bed sheet hanging off the overpass saying Trump 2024. So yeah, fuck
what
you guys.
A bunch of
Great.
I'm so sorry.
Thanks to you, I have no choice but to pay attention to this shit. Because again, my coworkers are like, "Why are they waving Trump flags?" And I'm like, "Well, it's a long drive home. Let me tell you about it."
Yeah.
Yep.
We basically import all our politics from you guys.
Yeah.
Trudeau,
that is something that we could start trying to drive home in certain segments here is why it is that the US politics is so important for the rest of the world, because I do find that a lot of people, a surprising number of people, just still don't really get that that the US is kind of the imperial core and has its hands and everything.
An understanding, it's just even a surface understanding of permanent revolution. And you'd be surprised too, is how many anti-Trotskyist Marxist Leninists accidentally discover permanent revolution.
They
through their rhetoric, they just may phrase it differently.
Yeah,
right.
But it's very, very important to study.
They say that about Che Guevara towards the end of his life. He was leaning towards Trotskyism, but they talked because he was realizing the need for a permanent revolution everywhere. But anyway, that's another discussion for another time. But all right, everyone. So for the social medias, we're on Blue Sky, which is now in again. So check us out on the Left Opposition podcast on Blue Sky, Facebook, Threads, which we don't update a whole lot. Also, the Patreon page, the Left Opposition podcast would be great. Follow Aaron on the Marxist, archaeologist. Archaeologist. I got it right this week. And so any suggestions? Also, the Left Opposition podcast at gmail.com. If you want to reach out to us, we do check it. And so every Thursday, or every other Thursday, depending if one of us gets COVID. 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Join us in the chat. We love reading the chats. Sometimes we don't want to focus too much on it because this is a podcast we're recording. But thank you, everyone who participated in the chat. You made it lively for us, too. So thank you, Jay. Always a pleasure. All right. Awesome, everyone.
Follow me at Radicalize Me on Twitch. I do videos on YouTube. Same
Sunday,
thing at
and you do a live at Sunday mornings, right? For your Twitch stream?
Sundays at 2.
Okay.
On Twitch.
Perfect. All right. Awesome, everyone. So and our solidarity with the Canadian postal workers. Keep up the fight. Keep up the struggle. And we'll see you next week or two. All right.
Bye.
Oh, would you have freedom from wage slavery and come join the grand industrial band? Oh, would you from misery and hunger be free? Come on, do you share lend a hand? There is power in a band of working folks when we stand hand in hand. That's the power that must rule in every land. One industrial union brand. Oh, would you have mansions of gold in the sky and live in a shack that's away in the back? Or would you have wings up in heaven to fly and start here with a rag on your back? But there is power in a band of working folks when we stand hand in hand. That's the power that must rule in every land. One industrial union brand. Oh, if you like sluggers to feed in your head.